The salvage vessel Dust Mite, a brick of reinforced titanium held together by pure spite and decades of overdue maintenance, limped 300 light-years past the Alliance border. It found the Xylos Ghost Fleet, thousands of warships, transporters, and massive spindle-shaped dreadnoughts, perfectly preserved and drift-locked in the dead vacuum of the Great Void. Not a wreck, but an instant, silent vanishing. Captain Valery Rostov, his face etched with skepticism and greed, looked out at the spectacle. The Xylos, a species known for their almost pathologically quiet, methodical existence, were simply gone. Valery, engineer Jax Thorne, and linguist Verma took the shuttle to the flagship, the Heart of Solitude. The interior was unsettlingly perfect. Warm amber lighting, untouched command consoles, and the command chair empty. Jax ran diagnostics. It's running at 93% power. It's been 7 years. They left the lights on. Zara found the last active log entry, time-stamped across the entire fleet down to the millisecond. Commander's meditative state achieved. Silence. And then nothing. As they examined the log, a new sensation crept in, a subliminal thrumming. It wasn't sound. It was an intrusive feeling that urged their thoughts to slow, their worries to cease. It was the absolute silence of the void trying to assert itself inside their heads. Valery dismissed it as psychological pressure, but then Mina, the Dust Mite's AI, cut in with chilling objectivity. Anomaly detected. Internal air pressure on the Dust Mite has dropped 5%. Hull integrity is nominal. I am not venting the atmosphere. The air is simply missing. The realization hit them like a vacuum breach. The ships were being consumed, not by fire or bullets, but by an entity that was draining the fleet's colossal energy reserves and feeding on the fundamental atoms of its surroundings, including the very air they breathed. They sprinted back toward the shuttle, but the intrusive thrumming was growing into a conscious weight, demanding cognitive stillness. Jax, struggling with the airlock controls, began to hyperventilate. The controls are locked. I can't override. The walls are watching me. Jax, stop fighting the lock. You're creating the lock. Valery shouted, slamming his helmet down. Zara, frantically reviewing the Xylos archives on her tablet, made the horrifying connection. The Xylos were masters of mental discipline. Their entire civilization was built on achieving perfect, unbroken cognitive stillness. Their minds were like polished crystal, eliminating all internal noise, all anxiety, all contradiction. She shuddered. Their silence made them vulnerable. A perfectly quiet mind is a perfectly clean entry point. The killer didn't have to fight them. It just slipped in. The entity was a psychic predator that consumed organized, crystalline thought. The Xylos were too efficient, too perfect to survive it. Valery saved Jax by injecting him with a triple-dose combat stimulant cocktail, overriding the paralyzing calm with pure, unfiltered, manic adrenaline and high-speed chaos. Jax screamed, but the flood of chemical noise gave him back control. He smashed the airlock override. Back in the Dust Mite, they were safe, but the ship's meager energy reserves were rapidly dwindling as the Xylos fleet, now entirely dark, consolidated its energy into the Heart of Solitude's drive core, the entity's feeding center. We can't fight it with guns, Valery said, pacing the narrow bridge. We fight it with what we are. The Xylos sought silence. Humans thrive in the mess. He pointed at Jax, whose hand was jittering as he furiously calculated escape vectors and sang a ridiculous jingle simultaneously. We worry about bills while we're saving the galaxy. We feel fear, excitement, and hunger all at the same time. Our minds are static, contradiction, and chaos. The plan was a Hail Mary pass. Jax would take the Xylos' psychoharmonic transmitter, a tool of synchronized peace, and jury-rig it to run a maximum reverse pulse into the flagship's drive core. Instead of broadcasting silence, it would broadcast the pure, unadulterated noise of 3 human minds. Valery and Zara strapped on experimental neural links, preparing to be the signal. The intrusive thrumming tried to embrace Valery the moment the link activated, promising utter, beautiful peace. He fought it by deliberately pulling up every messy thought he could. The exact temperature of a perfect cup of coffee, his argument with his father, the multiplication table of 17, the crippling anxiety of his mortgage payment, and a complex equation for jump drive stability. It was a deliberate cognitive blender of beautiful, meaningless human static. Jax. Now, Jax, fueled by chemical frenzy, slammed the overloaded transmitter onto the core's access panel. Valerie and Zara unleashed the full, chaotic torrent of their consciousness into the Xylos psychic beacon. The effect was instantaneous and violent. The dark distortion at the core shrieked, a deafening, agonizing psychic howl of rejection. It was the mental equivalent of white noise amplified to the power of a star, and the psychic predator was being force-fed the one thing it couldn't digest: incoherence. The entity lashed out, focusing a wave of absolute, terrifying peace directly at Valerie. Stop. You are exhausted. Let go. Be still. Valerie fought the insidious submission, mentally screaming the lyrics of a forgotten polka song and the exact steps to disassemble a combustion engine. He refused the quiet. The entity recoiled violently. It couldn't hold its form against the chaotic slurry, and with a final, blinding flash of light that overloaded all sensors, the Xylos psychic beacon imploded. The consuming presence was gone. Silence returned. A true, cold silence. Valerie ripped the neural link from his forehead, collapsing in the pilot's seat. He looked out at the majestic, empty fleet. The Xylos were gone, their monument to perfection a tomb. The dust mite, a ship held together by spite and chaos, was still there. Mina, Valerie ordered, a tired, arrogant human smile on his face. Log this. Humanity survived the encounter due to our inherent mental static and our unique ability to juggle 1,000 contradictory thoughts at once. Recommendation to Alliance Intelligence. Never stop worrying. Never stop arguing. Our flaws are our shields. End log.